144. So we're not officially starting because we're a minute early, but I'll tell you, I'll do the unofficial. In the meantime, last time you remember, Yakov Avinu was sent out of, he was sent away. Now, in the last Parsha, at the end of Toldos, Rifka comes to Yitzchak. Rifka knows that Esav wants to kill Yakov, and she knows that through prophecy. She doesn't say that to Yitzchak. She says to Yitzchak, I don't want him marrying one of the locals. So Yitzchak sends Yakov to Haran to find a wife. Yitzchak is unaware that Esav wants to kill Yakov. And I didn't see the commentary say it, but I have a hunch that this was part of Rivka's deception. She's deceiving Esav. She is deceiving Esav by making the public knowledge is Yaakov's going to look for a wife. So Esav is relaxed because Esav says, well, I'll wait for him to get back, and then I'll get him, because he's not in a rush to chase him. Because the real reason is because she's worried he will chase him. So it sounds like from the psukim that there's a certain deception over here, that Rivka is pulling a deception so she can get Yaakov out without Esav pursuing him, and that's where it picks up in Parshas Vayeitzei, 144. Vayeitzei Yakov mi Beersheva vayelech Harana. Yaakov leaves Beersheva, and he heads for Haran. Now, Rashi brings down over here a concept that we want to take a look at the third line of Rashi. Right column. Vayeitzei. Lo haya tzarich lichtov ela vayelech Yaakov Harana. Why did it say he left? It should have said he went. It shouldn't say Yaakov left Beersheva. It should say, we know where he was. It should just say Yaakov went, he headed for Haran. Why does it say he left? Vilama hizkir yitziyaso. Why does it mention his leaving? Elamagid, it's to teach us sheyasias tzadik min hamakom osa roshem. When a tzaddik leaves, there's an impression is left. It wants to tell us not only about Yaakov heading for there. Yaakov leaving here leaves an impression. A gap. There's a flaw. The tzaddik was here and he left. There's an even bigger flaw. When a tzaddik dies. Because a tzaddik, somebody who's learning Torah, protects the world. And when a tzaddik dies, when a Rav Chaim Kanievsky was nifter, everybody got nervous. Rav Chaim Kanievsky just said, what's going to happen? In a short time later, there was a terrorist attack in Bnei Brak, which had never been before. Right? Now, I'm not saying cause and effect. I'm just saying facts. You arrive at your own conclusion. But when a tzaddik dies, the world is lacking his Torah. Now, I want to explain something because I think that there's a certain misconception over here. I want you to imagine the following. I want to give you an example. I want you to imagine the following because this has to be clarified, especially where people from outside. I found that the thing that people have most difficulty relating to Balei Tshuvas, families with a Balei Tshuvas, they understand that and Jews in general, even religious Jews, I understand, you put up a mezuzah and you put on tefillin and you shake a lulav and you do all these mitzvahs. That I understand. Learning Torah is not, right? That's the thing. People, I understand. How long are you going to stay in Yeshiva for? When do you graduate? When do you get that degree? I'm not. It's a 14-year program. And then what? And then we start the second program with another 14 years. Well, when does this end? What's going on here? So I want to ask you the following question. Imagine the following. I had a guy here once, years ago. He was an emergency room doctor. We're going back maybe 30 years. He was an emergency room doctor. He lived in Israel. He would go back to the United States for 2 weeks, made $1,000 a night in the emergency room, came back to Israel with his $14,000 or $15,000, lived the next 6 months, and then went back for another 2-week shift as an emergency room doctor. It's good parnasa. So, I don't know. Now, imagine a full-time emergency room doctor. He works every night in the emergency room. How many lives does he save per night? Give me a number, whatever. Let's say 50 lives a night. Let's say we'll give you 50 lives a night. In the course of a week, he saves 300 lives. He doesn't work on Saturdays. Nobody gets shot in New York on Friday nights, right? So he doesn't work. Let's say 300 to round it up. Okay, 300 lives a night. In the course of a month, 1,200. In the course of a year, 15,000. Call it 15,000. He's got a 50-year career. How many lives has he saved? 750,000 lives. Pretty impressive, right? Pretty impressive. Okay. He's worked for 50 years. There's another guy who's doing cancer research. Nothing happens for first 49 years. In the 50th year, he discovers a cure for cancer. How many people will he be curing? 750,000 a day. He counted 750,000 in a lifetime, and he's curing 750,000 in a day with his cure for cancer. And what that means is that often in the world, people think that accomplishment is relative to action and activity. But it isn't. He was very active in the emergency room. He was very active, and he saved 750,000 lives. This other guy was in a library, he was in a laboratory doing very little. Now he's saving more lives. You could have a soldier, guys were telling me about a guy who's in the, the Navy SEALs, running around with all their equipment and shooting bad guys and everything else. You got another guy sitting in a back room. He might not even be wearing a shirt. And he's sitting in the back room going like that, and he just set off missiles that took out a city in Syria. Oh, darn it, I was shooting for Iran. Oh, well, so he just does it again. How much action is that? And he's got a bag of potato chips next to him. How much action? So action is not an indication of what you're accomplishing. You're more active, but it's not necessarily, sometimes it's an inverse proportion. The more action, the less accomplishment. It could be. Person who's studying Torah, people don't understand, what are you accomplishing by studying Torah? We have countless sources that tell us that when a person studies Torah, he is protecting the world, he's helping people, he's doing all good things are coming to the world as a result of his Torah. So you just have to know. When a tzaddik leaves, we don't notice the effect. So a tzaddik lived, a tzaddik passed away, we don't notice the effect. Torah is telling you, when Yakov leaves, there's an effect on the world, number one. Number two, if you take a look, it says, Vayeitzei Yakov vayelech charana. The word charana is related to the Hebrew word charon. Charon. Anger is called charon af. So there are commentaries that say that when Yaakov leaves Beersheba, vayelech charana, he went, the wrath left. Whose wrath left? Esav's wrath left. I mean, sometimes when you're upset with somebody's upset with you, what's the best strategy? Just get away. Go away. Say, when they see you, do you know it says by Haman? It says when Achashverosh really blew his stack because Haman was jumping on the couch where Esther was lying there. He was being pushed by the angel, but Achashverosh didn't like the fact that he's starting with his wife, with him in the house. And it says, Upnei Haman chafu. The commentaries say that when a man was condemned by the king, when the king was upset, a man was condemned, they put some sort of veil over his face. Because get that face out of my face type of thing. When the king's upset with him and he's looking at that face as getting him upset, that's why somebody's upset with you. The best thing you do is just move away. Go away so they don't see you. Yaakov leaves and Esav's wrath subsides. Okay, clear so far? Okay. So I want to tell you a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. This is a very important piece of human nature over here. This comes up all the time. There's a Mishnah, in the Siddur, it appears in the 4th chapter of Pirkei Avos, Mishnah 23. By the way, in the regular Mishnayos and in the Mishnahs and in the Siddur and Pirkei Avos, the Mishnahs are enumerated differently. But over here it says like this: Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer, Al tiratze es chavercha b'shas kaso. Don't appease a person when he's angry. Don't try to appease somebody when he's angry. Number one. Ve'al tenachamenu b'shas shemeso muta lefanav. Don't comfort him when his deceased is in front of him, not buried yet. You ever hear this, Mishnah? Do you ever hear this idea? Ve'al tishalo b'shas nidro. Don't prompt the person when he's making a vow. Don't make an effort to see him when he's messing up. And in this case, means spiritually. What does that mean? So the Mishnah says, don't try to calm somebody down when he's angry. Do you ever see somebody get angry and somebody tries to calm him down? Right in the family, calm down, Frank. Don't tell me to calm down. Why? Why do people react that way? Why do people react that way? Somebody gets angry and says, don't tell me that. It happens all the time. Why? Why?
It's not what they want to hear.
Why? That's clearly not what they wanted. That's clearly the fact that he just threw something at you is clearly shows it's not what he wanted.
It's like dismissing the anger.
Yeah, it's like you're minimizing. You're telling him that what he's getting angry about is insignificant, and that's why there's always somebody in families that says, "Come on, everybody, nobody get it. Come on, everybody, calm down." And it's often the guy who's telling everybody to calm down, who when he blows up, nobody could go near him. Come on, everybody, just calm down. It's not a big deal. Oh, yeah, and everybody jumps on him. Well, neither is this, crunch. Right? What are you telling us it's not a big deal for? Right? Who tells us that? And when you're being, what's the word they use? You're being the women use this all the time. You're being invalidated. I want to be validated. You have to validate. And I don't need to be validated. I'm valid. And, if you think I'm not valid, well, it's too bad. Then you're invalid. I don't care. But people need to be validated, and you're invalidated. That gets the person even angrier. And that's why it says you also don't comfort a mourner when his deceased is in front of him. He's not ready to be comforted at that moment. He's sitting there. He's in a state of searing pain right now. He's got the deceased family member is still there. He's not even buried yet. After the burial, that's why according to halacha, you don't comfort somebody before the funeral. You don't comfort somebody before the funeral. They're not ready to be comforted yet because it's also a form of invalidation. Oh, it's okay. It's not okay. And therefore, you wait until he's not even ready to be comforted. And by the way, what is the only comfort for a mourner? You don't say anything. Silence. When you go to people say nobody should have to go, but sometimes people have to go to a Yeshiva house to comfort a mourner. So people always say, I don't know what to say. You don't say anything. You don't say, not only that, the halacha is that you don't talk if the mourner hasn't started talking. Why? Why don't you? First of all, what can you possibly say? What are you going to say? Start talking for the neshama, you know all about the neshama, how this guy's in pain, and you talk about neshamas. Nobody wants to hear that. It doesn't help. Why does silence, so what's the point? What's the point of going? If the mitzvah just to go there and not even talk, so what's the point of going?
It comforts them.
Why?
Because it's like someone else feeling their pain.
Correct. It just means they're showing them they're not alone. That's all. That's the whole point. You're not alone. When a person is suffering in any way, why does it say, there's an expression in the Gemara, Saras Rabim Chatzi Nechama. When the public is suffering, that's half of a comfort. So imagine in 2007, 2008, when was it when people they had the big financial collapse? So when was it 2008? The guy gets wiped out. How does he feel? He's devastated. Then he goes to shul and he hears three other guys talking about how they're wiped out also. How do you feel at that point? Okay, that takes away some of the sting. How much? A half. Why? Because you don't feel alone. Part of the pain of any sort of suffering is being alone. You feel you're alone with your trouble. Comforting a mourner, psychologically, people showing up, what you're doing is you're showing him, we are with you. You're not alone. That's the key to it. The key is to show people, there's nothing to say. What can you possibly say? The key is, and that's why if you were in high school, I don't know if you ever got in trouble. Sorry, I don't know if you ever didn't get in trouble. But if you ever got, you're in the principal's office, and you're just sitting there like, oh boy, I'm dead. My parents are just going to kill me. This is going to be really bad. And you're just sitting there stewing, and all of a sudden the door opens up, and they throw Ricky into the office with you also. He gets tossed in also. Then all of a sudden the two of you are joking around. Then all of a sudden that changes everything. Why? Because you're not alone. Now we'll handle the trouble. We'll split the pain. That's what it means. Because all are telling you, you see that they're on top of us psychologically too. Okay. There's another idea over here. Now let's go on, and then we'll come back to this. Take a look at the next pasuk. Vayifka b'makom, Yakov arrives at a certain place. Vayolen sham kivo hashemesh. He lies down there to sleep because the sun set. Vayikach me'avnei hamakom, he takes the stones. Vayosem rashosov, he puts his stones around his head. Vayishkav b'makom ahu, Yaakov's out in the wilderness. He takes these stones and he puts them around his head. Why does he put the stones around his head? Take a look at Rashi. You're out in the wilderness now. You're on your way it's somewhere between Israel and Syria. And you're out in the wilderness. Take a look at Rashi. It's the right column, 3 lines on the bottom. Right column of Rashi on 144. Vayosem mirash Shosov. A son kimin marzev saviv l'rosh. He made them like a wall around his head. He protected him. He put it around his head. Sheyore mipnei chayos ra'os. He was worried about wild animals. Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. Hischilu merivo zoim zo. The stones started fighting with each other. Zo someres alayaniach tzadik es rosho. The first, this one stone said the tzaddik will put his head on me. Zo someres alayaniach. Miyada sana kodesh baruch hu evidence. Kodesh baruch hu united the stones. They all got together. So now he's got a big stone pillow. The Medrash says they turned soft. He had a nice soft yeshiva pillow, right? And with a nice soft yeshiva mattress that he was lying on. Okay, there's a bigger question here. He took the stones and put them around his head to protect him from wild animals. Anybody bothered by that? What are you bothered by, Andrew?
The circle, like, also, he has a body and...
Yeah. Bears are known...
As a wall?
Yeah, the bear, yeah, exactly. Bears are known to like thigh meat as well. You know, they're not particular like when you're eating chicken. I'll take a piece of dark meat. They'll eat white meat. They eat white meat. Bears eat white meat. Lions are, they're not picky. They're not picky. Snakes could crawl over stones. There's a lot that can happen. And by putting stones, there is a source that says in the Med, he obviously means he surrounded himself with the stones. But according to Rashi, the way he's quoting it, he circled his head. So the commentaries say, you see from here, where Yakov Avinu is teaching us, and it's really us, by the way, we do this all the time. You do it all the time. And you do it all the time, too. And you do it all the time, too. And you do it all the time, too. Every one of us does. You know what it is? It means our effort is futile. Our efforts are futile. Wait, you're paying me for this job? You go to work and you actually make a living doing this? Somebody's willing to pay you? And you know you're not worth it. That's what's called a great job. A great job is when you're overpaid, right? A really great job is when you're overpaid a lot. So you really think that it's because of your effort that something succeeded? So what's Yaakov do? Listen, you're out there with the wild, you got to do whatever you can. Let Hashem take care of the rest. You think it makes a difference? You put the stones all the way around you, stone could collapse on you if there's a wind. You can never get protected. What do you do under the circumstances? You try to protect yourself as much as you possibly can. But we do that all the time. Everything we do, we try to make an effort. And when you see that we're not in control, there's so many times that people see. I heard about a girl, she's going to the airport. So she's on the train. First she has to take the bus to the train. So she takes the bus. And the bus gets stuck in traffic. Now she's nervous. And she just makes it to the train. She gets on the train. She's happy she's on the train to the airport. The train stops at the airport stop, and she hits the door. The door won't open. The door was jammed, and she missed her stop at the airport. So now she has to get off a stop later. Now she's going to miss her flight. She's going to miss her flight on it. So she gets off to the next stop, and she doesn't have any money to take. She needs to take a cab back to the airport. And some secular lady saw her. So what's wrong? She said, I don't have any money. I don't have any money with you. I need a cab. She said, here, take 70 shekels. She said, well, how am I going to pay you back? She said, just give it to the tzedakah. So she gets into a cab, gets back to the airport just on time. And as she gets in line, there's a nice long line over there, so now she's relaxed. There's a guy walking around saying, I need tzedakah in the line in the airport. The girl says to him, here, it's your lucky day. She gives him the 70 shekels. So, what's that?
Didn't she not have?
Well, she was getting on the plane now. Yeah, so she was okay. She needed the money to get to the airport. You see, with her, it had nothing to do with her. The door didn't open, and then she didn't have money, and then some lady stepped out, and this poor guy over there, he didn't have any, what do you call it either. This poor guy didn't do his effort. You see, you try what we call in Hebrew hishtadlus, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu steps in. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to tell you what the Gemara says. Where was Yaakov now? He runs off. So Rashi says that when he left, where did he detour to? Anybody remember what it says? Where was Yaakov as he left Haran? Shem V'Aver. He took he went on that 14-year yeshiva program. His mother says to go, his father says get married, his mother says run away, and he runs off, and he goes to yeshiva of Shem V'Aver for 14 years. He's in yeshiva. And that's why Rashi says, Vayivka Vayolan Sham. He slept over there. Take a look at Rashi. Vayishkav b'makom mahu. Left column of Rashi, second line from the top. If you find it, please show the person next to you. Left column of Rashi. Vayishkav b'makom. Listen, guys, this is just, you have to really understand what's happening here. Vayishkav b'makom hahu. He slept there. Lashon miut. This is already a Gemara logic. Here you go, Yehuda. This is where the thumb goes up. He slept there, which means Gemara wise, if I tell you he slept there, it means but not over there, right? It's with an R at the end. He slept there, but not over there, right? There. Where's the first over there? Says Rashi, Be'oso makom shachav. There he lay down. Aval yud dalid shonim sheshimesh bebeis aver. 14 years that he was in the yeshiva. Lo shachav balayla. He didn't lie down at night. Shehaya asuk b'Torah. He was learning Torah. What does it mean? He didn't lie down. I didn't sleep for 14 years. It's not impossible not to sleep for 14 years. It doesn't say he didn't sleep. What does it say? He didn't lie down. He was a stender nap. You ever see guys sleeping in the base medrash on the stender? There are guys who could go really for a while on the stender. My record is about 20 minutes. I can never go more than 2. I think I have my longest stender nap. My brother could go about an hour and a half on a stender. He's a man to be admired. You know, put down his head, comes back an hour and a half later. He's good. And by me, 20 minutes. See, Yakov never lay down in the bed. He was on a stender. How can you live like that? 14 years. Why 14 years, by the way? It's interesting. Why? Remember Yitzchak's bracha to Esav? Hayadayim yadei Esav. The hands are the hands of Esav. Those are the hands we're always afraid of. What's the numerical value of hand? Yad? 14. A yud and a dalet is 14. So Yaakov goes to counteract that. He stops off in the base medrash for 14 years. Stops off 14 years in the base medrash. Because the bracha of Yitzchak was when you're learning Torah, Esav won't get you. So he goes to base medrash for 14 years. 14-year program. And he knows Esav, a guy like it, that's a great place to hide also. Esav's not looking for you in a base medrash. Wherever else, Esav will go to the club, Esav will go to the beach. He's not going to the base medrash. So Yaakov is in the base medrash for 14 years. Now, 1 second. First of all, what gave him the right to do that? His parents sent him off. His parents said, I want you to run away. What gives you the right to take a detour for 14 years? It's like, you know, if your mother sends you shopping and you disappear for a couple of days. Where were you? I met some guys, we did this there. We went up to Tzfas, but I'm back now. What gave you the right to go off to Yeshiva for 14 years? So the answer comes back to the original question. Now let's tie 3 things together. Listen to this. What would happen if your parents said to you, I want you to go visit, we bought you a ticket, we want you to visit some relatives, and we want you to go to university in Africa. Your parents there's a university in Africa, somewhere in the Congo, and your parents want you to go to that university. And so before you go there, you stop off, you're on your way, and you stop off and you get a few malaria shots and a whole series of shots. That's what people do, by the way. I heard about people go on this tour to Africa, and before they go, there's a whole series of shots you got to get. Oh, that sounds like fun. Let's get shots before our vacation. It's some vacation. I'll stay home and drink Pepsi, man. If I need to get malaria shots, I'm not going. But there are people who like that sort of thing. I had a guy once told me he went through the Potawatomi Swamp. I think it was called the Potawatomi Swamp in Florida. He took a boat ride through the Potawatomi Swamp. It's the swamp in America that has the highest percentage of venomous snakes. Let's go, Mike. If I have some free time, you're darn. I just never got to do that. So there are people who think, now, if your parents expect you to go off to university in the Congo, and then you stop off for 3 days getting your shots, but your parents didn't accept it. They didn't tell you to do that, did they? They said go straight to the Congo. It's understood that anybody going to Africa is going to be getting malaria shots because you need a vaccination. Yakov is leaving home from Yitzchak and Rifka. He's going off to all the bums in Haran. Well, you need a vaccination, don't you? So what's the vaccination? Torah. Torah is your vaccine. So it's understood. You don't need your parents' permission for a vaccine. Your parents wouldn't have to ask you, oh, Mom, Dad, is it okay if I get a malaria shot? Yeah, get a malaria shot. I've had them, and great. What it's understood. You need some sort of vaccination. So he vaccinates himself. But 1 second. How could it possibly be, listen to the contrast, when he was in Yeshiva, Yaakov Avinu, for 14 years, took stender naps. Gentlemen, you know what sleep is a result of? Sleep is a result of lack of stimulation. When you're really stimulated, you don't sleep. I told you, the easiest it was for me to ever stay up all night when I was 17 years old, went out and played an all-night card game. That was one of those, Mom, Dad, could I play cards all night with the boys? We don't approve, but we won't stop you. But you have to get up for Minyan. That was the only thing my parents required me. Yeah, I had to get up for every morning, even in no matter what else I wasn't doing in life or what I was doing. Minyan was non-negotiable. Every morning, 8 o'clock Minyan. So I went out and played cards all night, got up, I came staggering into the house at 6:30 in the morning. At 7:30 in the morning, somehow my mom had to vacuum clean my room. There was no other room in the house to vacuum clean. She vacuum cleaned my room at 7:30 in the morning. Right, that was, yeah. How do you like that? How do you like that? Yeah, there was, you're going to Minyan. Yeah, you're going to Minyan if it means venomous snakes or a vacuum cleaner. But you're going to Minyan. But I had no trouble staying up all night playing cards because there's that excitement. It's a new hand. Every hand's a new hand. I remember my first son was born. When my first son was born, I couldn't sleep that night. Because you're buzzed up. You're just so buzzed up you can't sleep. When you're buzzed up about anything, a person who's, if you're watching a football game, it's a close score at the end of the game, even if it's late at night, you're not tired. When do you get tired? Only when you've had a full night's sleep and you open your Gemara. Then suddenly you're tired. Suddenly you're yawning. Because suddenly you're not motivated. If you're somebody exciting at the table, you're sitting at a table, there's somebody exciting there, you got a lot of energy. They're boring people, you get tired, right? It's true in life. Why do children never want to go to sleep? How come children never want to go to sleep? Kids always want to stay up. Everything's exciting, everything's new. Everything is chadshus. There's something new and exciting. Adults, ask any adult over the age of about 19. Hi, how you doing? So tired. Some people, I'm so tired. You're always tired. What are we tired of? What are you tired? I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired. Because adults, it's been there, done that. A kid, it's all new, it's all fresh. Listen to this. Yakov Avinu, he's on the run from his brother Esav. He's running for his life. Oh, boy, I'm tired. He's lacking that one. He's got to lie down and go to sleep. He's in yeshiva learning. He's so buzzed he can't even lie down. Just push that, that's enough, and then he goes on. Put it into perspective. Running away for your life, which most people feel a certain adrenaline rush. Okay, but now I'm tired. The adrenaline rush that he had from learning Torah is greater than the adrenaline rush he had while he's running away for his life. That's the only way you can make it with Stender naps. If you had an opportunity, if I walked into this room and I put down a money machine on the table, and I say to you, Shaya, come here tomorrow morning, starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. As many dollar bills as you could pull out of this machine, one after the other, just like this. 1, 2, but it's dollar bills. It's a dollar bill machine. As many as you pull out for 24 hours, you get to keep. Real American dollar bills, not Canadian dollars. I'm talking about real money. And you can pull out as many dollar bills as you want. What time do you think you'd be here, first of all? It starts at 6. The project starts at, what time do you think you'd be here? 5:50? 5:30. I think so. About 5:30. What would you do about waking up?
5.
How would you wake up?
Jump.
How would you make sure to wake up?
It's 18 alarms.
18 alarms, and every single guy in the program is being told, get me up, I'll pay you, put water on me, put electric shocks, get me out of bed, whatever it takes. And then you start pulling out. How do you think you do it? Right? You're pulling out as fast as you could. Now what happens? You've been doing this for 2 hours, the best 2 hours of your life. I've been doing dollar bills for 2 hours. It's all mine. And all of a sudden your hand starts getting a little tired. What are you going to do? A bored? Bored? Try me. Right? Bored? Bored? Whatever else, I'm not going to get bored. Dollar bills? You're pulling out dollar bills. All of a sudden your hands are starting getting tired. So what do? You're just going to go like this. No, it's going to be like this. Shake one out, and then shake the other one, and then right back to work. And then your phone rings. What's going to happen?
Use your nose.
Oh, yeah? There's nobody who could possibly be calling me right now that I'm going to stop for while I'm pulling out all those important calls we get during the middle of the day that bother us and interfere. All of a sudden, there's no thing that the world doesn't exist. Then you get at 10 o'clock in the morning, you do 4 hours, you're starting to get hungry. What would breakfast look like? All right, Moish, give me some breakfast, will you? What do you want to eat? Doesn't matter. Well, what do you want? Do you want sushi? Mosh, just get me some food, will you? Right? And all of a sudden, I'm not picky. And then it's getting late night. You understand, when you're motivated, you're stimulated. That's how some people look at Torah. That's how Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky saw every word of Torah. If Yaakov Avinu is pumped, he's energized, he can't sleep. That's the idea, number 2. Number 3, the stones around the head. I want to read you a piece of Gemara. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says like this. The Gemara says, Visar meira mishtolel. Visar meira, it's a pasuk in Yeshaya, the prophet Yeshaya. Visar meira mishtolel. What does it mean? It means somebody who veers off, somebody who avoids the bad, will be seen as being crazy. The Gemara says, the Gemara elaborates on this pasuk. It says, a person who avoids doing the wrong things, people are going to view him as crazy. Don't you see that? Do you see what happens today? If you're decent, you're the crazy person. Today in this world, okay, things may be changing now just a little bit. You know, they got the wokes and the liberal, you know, they took a beating in America finally. But if you're not willing to do the wrong things, then you're the outcast over here. Hey, weed is legal. What's your problem? I don't think it's the right thing to. Why? You're so old-fashioned. Also, you're trying to be decent, and everybody says you're the crazy one. We're all going to a party, right? What's at a party? What does a party mean? A party means basically drunkenness, immorality, and I'm not interested in that sort of stuff. What are you? What's wrong with you? I get with the program. What happened to you? The answer, and all of a sudden you look like the outcast. Where's Yakov coming from? He's coming from Yeshiva, and you're all facing this, by the way. You're all, you. Me, I say you. When I say you, I mean me. We are facing this. We're sitting in a Yeshiva. You're learning Torah. Our heads are getting straightened out. We're starting to understand what life really is about from God's perspective. And then we got to deal with people who are not in that mindset. And what do they think of us? You're a bunch of religious fanatics. You're a bunch of fanatics because you're trying to be decent and you're trying to live with morals. You're a bunch of fanatics. So we're the ones who look like we're crazy. And that's exactly what Yakov is worried about. Yakov is leaving. He's leaving Yeshiva. He puts the stones around his head. Let me at least protect my Torah head. That means when I go out there, let me take my Torah head with me. Because when you're going out there, you're going to be shown a different set of values. When I was in the business world for a short time when I was a teenager, I was very unimpressed with the ethics of people in the business world. So you go out there, and then if you don't cut corners and cheat a little bit and try to make the extra buck, even if it's taking advantage of somebody else, what's wrong with you? What happened to you? So because I'm trying to be decent, therefore I'm the outcast, therefore there's something, V'sar Rami Shtolo. So it says, you're the weird one over here. Okay. Now comes, go ahead, Andrew.
How was there a yeshiva back then if only Abraham had the Torah?
Good. There seems, it's a good question. I've often wondered about this. There seems to be, first of all, Noachide law, and they're studying either Noachide law or they're studying whatever the, and every single law in the Torah is endless. Every single law of every mitzvah could be. So even Noachide law, do they have to do this? What happens if it's like this? And they're in the yeshiva, whatever the yeshiva was, it's Shem Ve'ever, or it could be Abrahamic law. I'm not sure. But whatever it is, we're told that there was everywhere they went, they had a yeshiva. When Yaakov Avinu went down to Egypt, when Yaakov Avinu finally goes down to Egypt to meet his son Yehuda, what's the first thing he sets up? To meet Yosef. He sends Yehuda first. To do what? To set up a yeshiva. The Gemara says, wherever our forefathers were, they never had a lack of a yeshiva. Eliezer was the one who took Avram's Torah and he taught it to everybody else. They were always involved in this spiritual pursuit called Torah. So whatever it was, I don't know specifically, but that's what they were doing clearly, and all the sources indicate that. So over here, Yaakov Avinu, he was in the Yeshiva of Shem Vayeitzei. Any other question on that? Okay, let's go on, because this is possibly the single most discussed point in all of the book of Bereshis, is Yaakov's ladder. The stairway to heaven. Right? Okay. Stairway to heaven. Yeah. I think that was the single most played song in history.
Too much, but it was a great song.
It was a great song, but is that number one? Is that like the number one request? I think it was the number one requested song. Stairway. No?
Probably Justin Bieber.
Huh?
Probably Justin Bieber.
No, it probably was. I don't know if it is though.
Okay.
There's 8 billion people now, so.
Yeah. Deep philosophers. Stairway to heaven, yeah. The stairway to heaven. Yeah. On every floor, a different set of drugs. The stairway to heaven, yeah. Yaakov has a dream, and there's a ladder on the ground. Virosha Magia Shemaima. The head of the ladder reaches the heavens. The angels of God were going up and down this ladder. Now the Mefarshim say, first of all, Yaakov has a dream. It's a lower level, whatever it was, whether it's Ruach HaKodesh, it's a lower level of prophecy. He has to have a dream at night as opposed to a regular prophetic vision. Why? Why doesn't he get a full prophetic vision as opposed to getting it in a dream state, as opposed to in an awakened state? Why is it in a dream state? Give you a good Torah, you could tell Jeremy. Because Yaakov wasn't married. And as a non-married man, he's not on a high enough spiritual level to be able to get access prophecy during the day. He has to be in a dream state. That's what the Varshim say. Because a married man is a different, he steps up to a different level. That's why it says Yaakov has to have the dream at night. Now he has this ladder. Now this ladder is vast. I'm going to go through several ideas this ladder represents because there are so many things that it represents which apply to us. Number one, it says, look at the words. It says, V'nei malachi Elokim olim v'yordim, though. The angels are going up and down. What does the ladder obviously represent? The ladder is a ladder of spiritual growth, obviously. And Yaakov has shown this ladder. The angels are going up and the angels are going down. And the Mefarshim say, again, there are many different approaches what this ladder represents. Possibly the single thing that's discussed the most. When you're trying to grow, you're in a process of aliyah. During that process, there are going to be yeridos. You're going to also have dips. You're going to dip down. You're going to drop. It's inevitable. And there's a pasuk that says, Sheva yipol tzadik v'kam. The righteous man falls 7 times and he rises up. The righteous man falls. And the meaning of the pasuk isn't that even if a lot of people understand the pasuk is saying, even if you fall 7 times, still pick yourself up. It doesn't mean even if. It means you're going to fall 7 times. That's the nature of the process. The process of growth is 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. But if you persist with it, you will get to a point much higher than you ever believed you could get to. But you have to be consistent, persistent, stubborn. You have to just keep on fighting. Sheva yipol tzadik v'kam. It's famous pasuk that was quoted by Shimon Peres. You've heard of Shimon Peres? He was the Israeli politician. He was one of the architects of the Oslo Accords, and he was known as the great loser in Israel politics. He was the one who was always losing. And so he lost to Yitzhak Rabin in one of the primaries. And they interviewed him and said, so Mr. Peres, what do you say about this setback? So he then quoted the pasuk and he said, Sheva yipol tzadik v'kam. The righteous man falls 7 times. I'm not sure he's the tzaddik that Shlomo HaMelech had in mind. As a matter of fact, I am sure he's not the tzaddik Shlomo HaMelech had in mind. But the nature of it is that it's 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. And by the way, it can take place in the course of a day. Nobody is just on a straight up arrow of spiritual growth. It doesn't work that way in Yiddishkeit. You guys got to know this. This you have to know. that every single rabbi, every rebbe, every holy person who you think is holy has his battles and has his falls. It's each person at his level. Each person at his level. I have a good day. I didn't speak any Lashon Hara for a couple hours. Then I kind of slipped up and heard a good, ooh, that was good, right? Now, yeah, get strong again. Let's go. Pull up. Then I see somebody. I got to tell you what I just heard. You had a dip. It's like that all the time. Sometimes your davening is stronger. Sometimes you're in a slump. The person have to know you're constantly good. On the way up, there are going to be dips. On the way up, there are going to be dips. It happens. It's inevitable. That's number one. Number two, and by the way to deal with it, how do you deal with it? Because it's like, I mean, haven't you guys experienced this? You know, how do you deal with it? You fell. Just get up. Don't get into bed. Don't lie around. Don't abandon the plan. You had a rough day. Tomorrow, listen, you're old enough, maybe you're not, but most people, you realize, listen, I'm having a really bad day. Okay, is it ever happened to you? They had a bad day and then the next day was a good day? Has it ever happened to you before? So it'll happen this time too. It's a certain maturity of understanding. It's not that you had a bad day, so what? The world isn't coming to an end. Tomorrow will be a different day. Okay, tomorrow will be a different day. Or later this day will be a different day. Something can sometimes happen in the course of a day that shifts your mood. You're just having a lousy day. I missed the bus. I got to the yeshiva. I'm all soaked in the rain. Everything happened. And as I'm leaving, I happen to see somebody who told me that my stock investment is up. Suddenly your mood changes. Your mood swings. I'm just using that I don't have any stock investments. Right? So that put me in a bad mood. Yeah, he got me mixed up with somebody else. Or so make my day is getting worse as we go along. Something happens. I wasn't learning well. I'm not in a lousy mood. All of a sudden you learn a tosos, and now it picks you up. Now you're back into the Gemara. You lost the sugya. You didn't understand it, so you go on to the next one. You're not dealing nicely with people. Then you go and you do a mitzvah and you pick yourself up and you help a little old lady carry her packages, assuming she wants you to help her. Or you do something nice for your parents or something nice for somebody, and then you're back on track. You're on the way up. It happens all the time, number one. Number two, if you'll notice, it says, Sulam Mutzav Arza, the ladder is on the ground, Verosha Magia Shemaima. How wide was this? What are you picturing when you think of this ladder? What kind of ladder are you picturing?
Like a really long, tall one.
Really long, tall, like a fireman's ladder, right? Really like tall, it reaches, that's what we're all picturing. That's what you probably see in the children's books. Really long. You know how wide this ladder was, the Gemara says? The ladder was 8,000 parsaos wide, and the entire earth is 6,000 parsaos wide. So the ladder is wider than the entire earth. How do you like that?
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, huh? Machlokes between us and the Gemara. But, well, we'll pass like the Gemara. It doesn't make sense? Well, the ladder is wider. He's seeing a ladder. Listen, dreams don't always make sense. He's seeing a ladder that's wider than the entire earth. What does that mean? What's the point? What's the point? What's the point? Nobody? What's the point of a ladder that's wider? A ladder of spiritual growth wider than the entire earth. What's the point? The point, huh?
There's more spiritual growth than can fit on the earth.
Okay. Okay, could be.
Since the ladder extends the bounds of the earth, when you grow spiritually, you want to leave this world and.
You were on the ladder, but you got off it. You jumped off the ladder too soon. It means no one on earth has an excuse. The ladder of spiritual growth is available to everybody. Nobody on earth could say, the Bushmen out and what do you call it? What's that tribe in New Zealand? I just saw a picture of these guys. What do they call the
Zulu?
is it the Zulu? The Zulu. What are the other one?
The Maori?
The Maori. I think it's the Maori. These look like very, they look like Maoris.
Like
And
blue paint on their face?
As something.
Yeah.
You know, no, that you're thinking of Wisconsin University, the way to go, or any university. These are everywhere in the world. Nobody could say I never had a chance. Nobody could say it wasn't accessible. Everybody could take a look and say, hey, the way I'm living and look at how those people are living. Nobody could say I didn't have an opportunity to get on the ladder of spiritual growth. People will say, well, I never had a chance. I didn't know. Well, you didn't see you were living in New York. You didn't see Chassidish guys hitchhiking at the side of the road. Then you wonder what they are. You wonder what everybody else in the world is. Why don't you ask a guy? You never been to Borough Park? You never been to William? You never been to Lakewood? You never been to Golders Green? You never been to Yerushalayim? You didn't see the religious people? How come you investigated? You went to Tibet. You went to find out about people sitting on beds of needles. And you went to what do you call it, to go see people eating a rice diet for 6 months. That you were willing to investigate. You went to India and checked out every avodah zarah in the world. But your own people in your own backyard that you're willing to check, that's an excuse. That's an excuse. And therefore the Torah is teaching you everybody could get on that ladder. That's the second thing. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow with more.